does that even mean, Bauer's Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review charged by BoardGameExchange.com, the internet's only board game rental website. And today I'm excited to be reviewing Waterloo 20 from Victory Point Games. This is for ages 12 and up, and it is for 2 players. It'll take you about 50 minutes to play. Now, this is a war game, which means in this game you will be recreating, so to speak, an actual situation that happened when Napoleon was trying to get back to France after being exiled. So you'll either take the role of Napoleon trying to get to France, or the 2 other countries who are trying to stop him. Is it a good game? I don't know. Let's open it up and find out.
Alright, so inside of Waterloo 20, let's take a look at what you're going to get. First and foremost, you're going to get your 10-page, double-sided, sent straight from the Teats of Hell rule booklet. This is just an absolutely atrocious rule booklet. There's no excuse for this rule booklet to be this bad. It's a very bad rule booklet. It will make you want to quit the game before you even begin. But if you get through it, the game itself is actually quite fun. Spoiler alert. What else are you going to get? You're also going to get some different scenarios. Something I really like, the fact that the Victory Point Games included. They have some different scenarios that you can play out. A bunch of promotional stuff, some stuff about the game, some stuff about Victory Point Games, and their other games. But down to the nitty-gritty, to the game itself, what are you going to get? First, you're going to get your flip out terrain, effects, movement, and combat sheet. Just the same way in real war, it's going to take you a little bit longer to cross a river than it is to go across a plain, is the same way in this. You're going to have more defense if you're in a town, or if you're in a fortified area, or if you're in the woods, and it's going to take you longer to go through the woods. And this is very nicely done. It makes everything very simple to figure out when you're traveling your units. Next, and most importantly, this is absolutely incredibly important, is your player aid sheet. You will come to this pretty much every single turn, every time you do anything. First and foremost, it has your morale track on it. And this is the heart of the game, because this is the main way you win the game, is by having more morale than your opponent at the end of the game, or just getting their morale down to 0. But there's also combat results and how to do combat, the turn sequence, rallying your troops if they get broken, how to do withdrawals, your morale chart. Everything on here is extremely important, and you'll be coming to this early and often. What else are you going to get? You're going to get some cards. These cards I was really a big fan of these cards. They just throw a wrench into the entire game. You might have this grand genius plan concocted about how you're going to flank and do this and do that, and this card can just stop that plan right then and there. These have completely random events. Sometimes they help you, sometimes they hurt you. As you can see, they have 2 different colors on them. The different colors affect the different sides of the war, the French and the Allied. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, and it will have an impact. Next, you're going to get your tiles, because this is a tile-based game. There's tiles all over the board. There's more tiles over here. There's a whole bunch of different tiles. I don't have time to go into all of them. But the main one you're going to want to know are the soldier tiles. Some of them go faster, some of them go slower, some of them are more powerful. For instance, let's just take a look at this tile. This is a very powerful tile. It has a 4-2 on it. It's got blue on the outside, so this is a French unit. But the 4 means this does 4 damage, and the 2 means it can go 2 spaces, unless it's on a road. If you're on a road, you can go 1 additional space. So if you keep this guy on the road, you can go 3 spaces and do 4 damage. It's a very, very nice tile. There's one with horses on him that can go 3. There's a cannon in there that does 4 damage, which is very powerful. There's a bunch of different ones of those. And I'm just showing you the generic version. There's also advanced rules, which I really like the fact they included, that will impact the weather. There'll be special dummy units that aren't really there, and hidden units, and all sorts of other cool stuff. But for the first time, you should definitely just play the generic game. But once you get to the later game, they really add a little bit of zest to the game. Other things you need to see on the board. As I said, you're going to be trying to lower your opponent's morale. How you do that is you attack them. And if you break them, they instantly lose morale. But if you break them, they're taken out of the game until a night phase, or until they can rally their troops. If they successfully rally their troops, then they get to be back into the game. If they're not, then they're eliminated from the game completely, which is very, very bad for them. However, in order to rally the troops, it's going to cost you morale. It's a double-edged sword. But you don't always get broken. In fact, most of the time you're not going to get broken. Most of the time you're just going to have to get routed or withdraw. If you withdraw, you have to move 1 space, any way around. Or if you're routed, they roll the dice and then you go back that many spaces and they can push forward. The other major thing of note here are these little squares right here with the triangles around them. Those are fortified towns. That means this town, because it's got blue, is supposed to be owned by the French. If when you get to night turns, because the turns are over here, which I'll get to in a second, and a blue guy is not on there, and a red or a black is on there, then the French are going to lose one morale. So these are extremely important, and these are what you're going to be fighting for the majority of the game. So you have a lot of different choices. You can try and fight there, or you can try and take your horse and go all the way around and take the Allied units once. There's a lot of different ways to try and win the game, and to play the game, which is something I really enjoyed about the game. Moving over here to this side, we have a weather adjuster, because the weather will play a role in the game. Not so much in the generic version, not at all in the generic version, but if you get the advanced rules, it definitely will play a role. And then you have your game turn marker over here. And I really like how they did the game turn marker. It's very simple to figure out, and it actually shows you, because every once in a while you'll get reinforcements, which will really help. And they're listed right here, who gets the reinforcements on what turn. Either way, when you get to a night turn, special rules happen. You can't fight, you can only move one space, you can gain a morale, you can try and rally your troops. A lot of stuff happens on the night phase, and they actually really help to speed up the game. Showing you just a very small mock hand. First thing you're going to do when it's your turn is you're going to draw a random event. You're going to see what happens, and you're going to do that. Next, you are going to move your guys as many units as you can. So, for instance, this guy can move 2, but if he crosses a river, he can only go 1. One thing to take into special consideration here are what's called zone of combat. A zone of combat is any space around in this around you. If anyone comes into your space that's an opponent, they have to fight you next round. So let's just pretend that this guy moves here and here, and you got a whole bunch of battles going on here. You don't fight immediately. You move all your guys, and then it is your opponent's turn to do an enemy reaction. They have a couple different reactions. They can try and run away. They can just charge you and say, try and turn the tables and attack you instead. But either way, then you add up the different numbers here, and you go back to your player 8 combat and you say, oh, the attacker has +3 on me. You roll the dice, which is not included, little nitpick, and you see what happens. Sometimes the defender might get broken or the attacker might get routed. Different things are going to happen. Morale is going to be lost and gained throughout the game. And once you get to turn 16, whoever has the lowest amount of morale loses the game. And that is how Waterloo 20 is played.
All right, Waterloo 20 from Victory Point Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros. Let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, the theme, if you're not into history, is a little bit dry. Also, this game is not for everyone. Me and my fiance played it a couple times. She hates this game. I think I've just come to the conclusion that she doesn't like war games. But this game is not going to be for everyone because war games are not for everybody. It's just a fact. Also, Victory Point Games, I've played 3 of your games, and 2 of the rule booklets have been absolutely atrocious. This rule booklet is no different. This is a terrible, terrible rule booklet. There's actually 2 rule booklets here. The first one is just for general rules because this is a series of games, and the second are specific rules for this. But, oh, man, the rule booklet for this game is very, very bad, and it made me want to quit. Made me and my fiance want to quit a couple times. It's just not a fun rule book to sit through. However, the game is not bad. I enjoyed my time with Waterloo 20. I personally am a big history buff, so I liked the theme. I like the war game, trying to outsmart your opponent by maneuvering around and trying to take over towns and fortifications and all that. I really did enjoy my time with Waterloo 20. It's nice and short, which is another thing I like. The turns go by pretty quickly once you learn how to play the game. And overall, I definitely can recommend Waterloo 20 if you are looking to try out a nice 2-player short war game. Because most war games are pretty lengthy. This is 50 minutes. Once you learn how to play, probably 30 to 40 minutes. So Waterloo 20, Victory Point Games, definitely a game you want to check out if you're into war games. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for your time, YouTube.
That was a review for Waterloo 20. For more reviews, check back at Bauer's Game Corner. Also check out Board Game Exchange, the nationwide board game rental service.